Well, final product. Fan shroud installed. Fan spins. And just tighten her down. No rubbing. A little close on that side is what it is. The bottom shroud sucked. I had a lot of clearancing to do after to make it fit. This side here, for one, had a tab right there that would hit the frame, so I had to cut that thing off. The other side was pretty involved. Like, not that involved, but kind of involved. I massaged this. Where's my finger at? This line here. I took them loose, bent them around, moved them that way to give a little more clearance over here for the intercooler pipe and also the shroud, because it was right into the shroud. Same thing with the one out to the cooler. I had to bend him back a hair so that it would just clear. And those are still the factory 95 lines. And I think this front one's gonna work too, that goes up to the pump. But the steering box fought me. The little, let's see if I can zoom in on it. You can see it. The nut on top. Yeah, I drilled a hole through the shroud so that the nut sits inside the shroud, because it didn't fit any otherwise. Kept running into it. This side, definitely not getting a bolt on it. It's way too tight in there. I got a bolt on the other side, and then the top's held. And chances of it moving are pretty slim. No vibration or nothing. It's under quite a bit of tension just trying to get everything in. So I got high hopes on that thing being okay. This is where my old fuel filter mount was for the aftermarket. I might try to put that thing back on. It'd be nice to keep. But if it's between that and the computer, I think the computer's going to win that fight. So we'll see. I'm at the point now, finally, that I can tuck those guys away, put my inner fender, or put my intercooler pipe on, then my inner fender well, and see where everything's gonna live for the rest of its life. This hose here is kind of full of shit, but it's also too small. I downsized him for the 6.5, so I'll have to get rid of this bushing and get a 1/2 inch to barb or whatever that is, and then I'll run a big fuel line into my quick disconnect, then the return line, wherever the heck the return line is, down in here, I'll tie him in. Yeah, I don't even know. It's probably laying on the ground right there. So, yeah, chugging along, moving kind of slow. It's Saturday now. I worked all day yesterday, so kind of bummed out there. I didn't get anything done out here. And the S10 needed a oil change and CV shaft. Speaking of, I haven't changed it yet. I'm dragging my feet on that. I want to get this thing running, so that might be run it for a little bit and then pick it up, service it, because it's been sitting for 2 years, change oil, change an axle shaft, and do it then type deal. I don't know. But progress continues. So I'll get the intercooler pipe on for the last time, hopefully, and then get the inner fender over here. Put my little pedestal back on the computer, the PDU, and then that thing can bolt on. The only other fight I foresee having is my battery tray, because I adjusted it. One stud in them, and depending on the hole in the fender well, I might have to adjust so that I can get that a 1/4 inch over. Same thing with these lower ones. If that's not one of the big holes in the fender well, I'll probably make it one. Or that bracket I could probably bend and make work. But if I can get the fender well in, we'll be living pretty large. So, hang tight, and we'll give you another update here in about an hour or so. Okay, so it's the end of the day. I got places I got to be tonight. Didn't get as far as I wanted to. But I'm just gonna say right now, This is your friendly reminder to put your stupid ground. I can't even show it to you. On the block. The battery cable ground goes down low with another ground. There's 2 bolts down there. Put them on before you put the core support in, because man, it is a nightmare. I did it before the intercooler pipe, of course, but all you can do is reach it from the top, and it sucks. So just wanted to say that now. Put your battery cables in before any other assembly. I still got to put in motor mount bolts, so the charge pipe's got to come out one more time. But it looks like it fits even around all of my power steering hoses. I had to bend those quite a bit more to make everything kind of work, but I think it's gonna work. We just need some zip ties. Same thing, power steering cooler lines. The top side is a nightmare. There is shit everywhere. I don't know how to make this look nice. I'm sure it'll come to me at some point, but right now it just looks like crap. This thing is also falling off of here. Nice. So I still don't know where the computer's going yet. I gotta get a fender hung before I can do that. The inner fender. And then we can figure out the only place left to mount a computer. And yeah, there's my cat filter I put on. It might not stay there. We'll see what we got for space, but right now it fits, so it's gonna stay for now. Yeah, it's cold. It's getting colder. I think next weekend's gonna go to 5-ish, so depending, we might not get anything done for another 2 weeks, but I got all day tomorrow, so we're gonna keep chugging along. I'll get the motor mounts put in first thing, and then this side's probably gonna be pretty easy, so I'm doing it last. And I'm just gonna try to get this done so I can make my connector and just tie up the wiring. I want to start this thing and make sure the clutch disengages and it goes into gear before I get too excited. So that should happen pretty soon. Maybe not this weekend. I got to get barb fittings for these guys. I went and harvested these off the Duramax. Those are the quick disconnect lines. Just stick a barb in that, clamp them, and then toss them on. Yeah, that's busy back in there too. So that'll be interesting to see how all that stuff goes together. But I'm pretty happy with how today turned out. But I spent quite a few hours trying to get those wires fished across. Here they are over here. This side's just kind of chilling here. And I got to finish tying them in underneath and across the front, or across this side. But that's a tomorrow problem. And hopefully we can start this baby up at least Sunday. I don't know. I don't have batteries, so if we get that close, I'm gonna have to run to town and buy a set of batteries for it. Yeah, so just I spent a lot of time fighting those battery cables and the core, not the core support, but that lower fan shroud. That both of those probably ate up 2 hours today, and I only had 5 to work with. So the last hour was spent trying to get that charge pipe in. Slow day, but we're still making her through. We'll catch you tomorrow. Well, it is Monday night, and we are back. It might not look like much has changed, besides all the wires everywhere. But let me tell you what. Since the last time we talked, the charge pipe is in. It clears all my hydraulic lines. I tied all those back into the steering pump, and it sneaks right up through this little window here. I started fiddling with fuel lines and bought some fittings for that. The fan shroud is done. I don't know if I said anything about that or not. It's Monday, and I did a full day Saturday and Sunday on this thing. My fender well, see the little notch down here? That's all I had to do to clear the charge pipe. I'll show you that after it's put in. With the battery tray, I re-drilled these two holes, here and here. And this one's where the nut goes, and the tray sits right down on top. That all works, fits nicely. No issues with the battery tray. Then I moved on to the dilemma of where to put the computer. You're really limited on where those connectors can go. And I fought far and long and high and mighty, and I tried tucking it underneath the battery tray. It won't go in there. I tried tucking it down in here below the brake lines, and it fits without any sort of brackets. But as soon as you try to build a bracket for it to hold it, it sits it up too high and it won't go in there. So I tried tweaking. My brake lines are all tweaked because of that. So see this guy here and this guy here, and they're kind of like that. Yeah, and I lifted them up and around. No dice. I bought a fitting to move my clutch line because it was in the way. So I didn't put it on yet. I just picked it up tonight just to be a 90-degree out. And then hopefully I could sneak the computer down in there. I think that's going to be my first attempt, is doing that. I also bought fittings to eliminate my ABS unit because it's never plugged in. I had a 97 half ton that sucked. And so this truck, when I put it together, I never plugged it in just because I never had them and didn't need them. So I think that's going to be the most elegant option. If I get rid of this unit here and tee all my brake lines together, then that's a perfect place. I can make my plate to mount the computer with, and then bolt it in, and it bolts in, bolts out. And then the plugs will just come right in from the top and plug into it. So, I don't know, I might still plumb out around my ABS unit since I don't use it, and it's kind of in the way of the rad hose. And then if that's the case, I'll just put the computer right there. I did look, the 98 6.5s don't have this. They got the one up here, but, you know, there's kind of an intercooler in the way there. I don't know if that one would fit in here or not, but it's really busy in that front corner, and I don't know if I care to try. I was going to size up the Duramax one and see how it looked in there, but hopes are pretty low on that. So, but that would also free up, you know, this whole area here to mount it. But I don't know, I really like, this already has a plate that bolts in, so I can either take a pattern off of it or weld it to that plate, my bracket, and roll with it. I'll just point all the brake lines straight down because that's a cavity. Yeah, I'm doing that. Screw it. So, these nuts here are all different sizes, so you can't screw them up putting them in. So to tee your fronts together, you have to cut all your lines and flare them with the regular size nuts to go into, here's a 3/16 T block. So these suck too. They tell you female 3/8 24 inverted flare. They don't tell you the line size. So then you got to look at the freaking nuts, and they'll tell you the line size. But anyhow, 3/8 24 is a 3/16 line, and 7/16 24 is a 1/4 inch line. I bought them both because I didn't know what I needed to tee. But anyhow, your front comes in here, goes down, and then comes out on two smaller lines. And so you have front, front, front. The rear here goes in down low. Can you see any of this? No. Let me do this again. Your large 1/4 inch line goes in at the very bottom down there and comes out in the dark over here. Let me see, can I adjust contrast? No, I can't. But you'll see them. Put the big line to the big line and then tee all the small lines together. And I guess I'll find out on the first test drive if I need to put a proportioning valve in. I did some reading on that. It's hit and miss. If I do, I'll either get one off a 94 truck or a square body, or buy an adjustable one off of the internet. There's a Wood, I don't know, Woodward, Wildwood, whatever the special brake place is. They sell adjustable ones, so I can tee it. I can put it in where my union is. So I got all the fittings now to do that. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it and be done with it. So, yeah, that'll be tonight's project, is get rid of the ABS box. And then I get to bleed all my brakes when I'm done, which would be a treat. I love bleeding brakes. So, that's my plan going forward. I don't know, I couldn't find any extension harnesses for the ECM plugs. It'd be nice to move it over to that fender, because there's nothing over there. Well, right now there isn't, but there's enough room over there that you can mount to the fan shroud or something. Or wrap it right up into the cab and go under the seats and really protect it. But unfortunately, that's not in the cards for this guy. So it was this guy. I could either put him here, put him there, or try to fit him down in there. And none of that was working. I guess the other option I tried is relocating the battery over to there, but there's not enough room right there. So it is what it is. It's gonna sit where the ABS box is on my truck. And if you got any ideas, let me know, because I spent hours trying to mount that computer. Here's the mount I ended up making for it. It's not quite finished yet. Kind of ran out of time yesterday, but it's just a plate that I bent around to go around and kind of hug it. And then these guys wrap. I'm getting good at cutting the plastic. And then I was going to speed nut it. I put the computer in the other way too to test it. But these slip through nice and tight here, and then speed nut these on. And then same thing in here, get a speed nut or just a nut and bolt and bolt it on. So that's the plan. I'm still going to mount it in this enclosure, but it's not finished yet, so we'll get there. Once I figure out where it has to go, then I'll finish the enclosure. How's that sound? All right, that's where I stand, just fighting, trying to put the computer in here. So once I get this ABS unit out and the computer mounted, that might be a day or two. I'll catch back up with you, and this weekend I'll shoot a video out of where I ended up. Oh, I also tried putting it here, underneath of this thing, this pocket, if you got rid of him. But that might look like a nice cavity. There's not a lot there. Not a lot of room. You kind of can't interfere with the hood latch. And if I lay it down, it doesn't fit right. And then this thing can't really go on top of it. And it was just a bugger. So I think this is my most viable option. And I'll get rid of the ABS box all in one shot. So I'm just continuing to sell this to myself. This will probably suck a little bit, fighting these lines. But the goal is to cut them off, point them down, and then all the other lines are going to have to come up and then go down into the T. Then the other guy, cut them off, point them down, and then take my other, these are at least copper nickel, so they bend nice. Take that guy and stick him right up in it and get them down into this opening where there isn't anything. And then they'll be way out of the way for the computer. If I got to tweak these up or something, I can. And then the little coils they put in will help make everything go smooth. So that's going to look like shit until I redo it, but it'll be functional. And that's the important part. So as I near the end of my computer mount build, I figured now's a good time to let you guys in on what's going on. I didn't record any of it because I didn't know if it was going to work. But it's relatively simple. This guy is the original plastic piece that has the snap in it to hold the computer into place. And then I just made a little bracket to hold it the right orientation that I needed for install on the fender well. Let me get this thing off quick and I'll show you what I got going on. Bolts are out. So this thing, I got a little kick here to kind of hold tension on everything too. And it sits in pretty nicely. I don't know if I can, there it goes. So here's this piece. I cut the original chunk off of it. It used to look like that. And that bolted onto the core support or battery tray or something. I don't know. Kind of a bad spot for it because you got all the acid and stuff that leaks off the battery heading down into this thing, but minimal corrosion on the computer. So I got rid of that and I notched the backside. Same thing with the fan shroud, just a quick grinder work, and this time I didn't sand it. I didn't really care. Just to make it low profile to fit into the truck. But then if we go in here and grab the computer, so take him, swing this side in, and then it clips in on that snap. I'm not going to do that one because that one sucks to take back off. But then this goes right in here. Like that. And then a little bit of finessing. Drop this thing down. And boom, we got a computer mount. And once it's all bolted up tight, it doesn't touch the metal. Can you see daylight? There it is. It doesn't touch the metal anywhere. You kind of want to keep this thing isolated from ground. So my next steps, I brought a piece of roofing over and I was going to cut a little hat for the top of this thing and then roll it down the back. Then the bottom side, I'll grab a rubber mud flap or something and stick in here and just let it friction hold it down. That way any water that comes up through the fender will get shed. And then the top, the upper rad hose comes right across here, and then I got a hydraulic line here and a battery here. So I just kind of want to make a hood for it to keep all the other juices off the top. And then we'll see about this side. The plugs are sealed up pretty well, but my windshield washer is right here. So we'll see. Maybe I'll just have to be careful pouring windshield washer fluid in. This is the plate for the ABS box. Previously I removed that. So he's going to sit like this, and then we're going to weld this guy on. Something to that effect. It's not super straight in there, unfortunately, but it misses all the bolts, and then I should be able to get a wrench on all of them to tighten them in. And then that'll just slip right in, bolt down, and it should never have to come out again. That's the plan. So I'll get to making my little hat for it, and then maybe self-tapper them into here or something, and then or drill and thread that. I don't know. That way it'll cover the whole top and then roll down the back like I was saying. And then the master cylinder, I forgot he's over right here somewhere. So there's a lot of fluids around there that I don't want on my computer. So I'm going to try to cover them up as best I can. Other than that, it went pretty smooth. Happy to have that big lunk of ABS out of there. I've been thinking about pulling it for a while and just never had a reason to because the brakes worked. Never had the ABS on though, so it'll be fine. Well, we got a final product on a computer enclosure. This is that I think it was a piece of ridge cap that I worked around with. I got a piece of rubber on the bottom to keep any splash from the fender well off the bottom of the computer for corrosion. And there's just 2 bolts holding the tin in. This side's open, and then the back, this is where all my hydraulics are for the power steering. My brakes are somewhere in here, so I got some splash protection from brake fluid. This side's the battery side, so I was a little concerned about him. I fully boxed it off just to keep any chance of battery acid away. And then of course the upper rad hose comes right across the top of it. So I picked the absolute wettest spot in the engine bay to put this thing, not to mention the windshield washer fluid right here, so I can spill it into the connectors every time. here's the hoping it's safe there. I did as best I could to make sure it's protected. I'm a little concerned about breathability with heat, but we'll cross that bridge if it ever happens. This is pretty well vented up here, so any heat can come up and it'll convect from back here or something. I don't know. It is what it is. The back's kind of open yet too, like the bottom back over here. There's a piece of rubber there, but I don't know. It should be able to get some ventilation through it to help cool it off. I'll take it for a drive and then stick my finger in it or something, see how hot it is. But we'll go stuff that guy in, make our last couple things. I got parts for my oil pressure switch sensor from the 6.5. We'll put that in the block today, and then I can stuff that fender well in, make my integration connector, and then start on the passenger side. Today's Friday, the 22nd or 23rd. I'm hoping to have this thing running by Sunday. I still haven't fucked with the throttle pedal yet, so we'll see where that brings us. But our computer is home, and he's happy. Just misses the brake lines, a little adjustment on that flange. See how it's nice and up, and then it curls. No big deal. All the bolts went in. I probably could have pulled the lid for this guy. Went ahead and scratched my paint, but not that concerned about it. It's a tin shield. Moving on to the oil pressure sender. Someone told me all these plugs in the block are oil galley plugs. That's the Duramax sending unit there. And I got this guy right next to my motor mount pulled. And this is what he looks like. It is a plug with a tapered lead-in type deal. Oh, I bet you was sealing on the thread sealer because there's no oil back to this point. The front was covered in oil before I wiped it off. That's my metric O-ring, boss. It doesn't have a taper to it. It's got an O-ring on it. So I'm hoping that that seals. You guys will be the second ones to know if it doesn't. And I'm going to take this plug to the hydraulic shop and see what they say. I might throw some thread sealing on here too, just to be safe. I don't know. Don't really know what I'm doing here, but I got thread sealant, so might as well be doubly safe, right? And then coming out of there, they didn't have a direct O-ring, metric O-ring to pipe thread, but they did have metric O-ring to JIC and JIC to pipe thread. I got a 90 and a 45 to kick it out so it's actually accessible once it's in there. I'm going to put this thing together tight and thread tape everything before I put it on. That way all I got to do is tighten this guy up, and then I can throw my sensor on. I got this guy here with a T. The T used to be for an oil pressure gauge until it decided that it was going to rub a hole in the cab and then dump oil all through the cab of the truck when I was 2 states away. But I'm probably going to leave that just in case I want to do that again with the digital gauge, just because my oil pressure gauge is a little bit flaky. It'd be nice to have a real number there, but for now, if I have a go, no-go gauge, that's better than nothing. So yeah, I got a straight union nipple, whatever, nipple. It's going to go in there, into here, through this, into that guy. So let me go get some thread sealant. I'll put that together and show you what it looks like. Little couple hour later update from the peanut gallery. We got the computer in. We got just enough room for a couple wires down in here. That guy's plugged in. The coolant juice is plugged in, or window juice rather. This is kind of a mess. I got zip ties and stuff to tie it down with. It's just going to be kind of busy right in that area. It's a Duramax. They have wires everywhere anyhow, so it won't look that out of place. And I got this guy installed. Let me grab a light. Here's a light. It's dead. Nice. Okay, well, you're just gonna have to look with your eyeballs. See that? That's my oil pressure switch. It's got good clearance everywhere. It's not too close to the manifolds. He comes out, and then I'll get another piece of loom and send him up into the harness of loom. Now, I just went back, ate dinner, and grabbed my plugs and connectors and my pins and grommets and stuff for this guy. So this looks like a really good spot for that computer. Here's my other harness. That's my shortest wire. So if I cut those all to this length and crimp them there, he'll sit right in here. And then this side, my shortest wire is out in here somewhere. So I'll just do the same, and then that'll give me enough length. Maybe, yeah, we'll cut him here. Then I can roll him down in nicely and make it look a little better. And then we just have the concern of, do we have enough room for this guy? And I think the answer is yes, but we'll find that out in about, I don't know, 3 hours. Napa hosed me. Their clamps are the wrong size. This guy's seized up, so I can't use him. But these things are considerably larger, and I couldn't get them to tighten down to fit the biggest intercooler pipe. That's as tight as it goes, and you can see the gap. So tonight they're up until 7, so I'm gonna run in, grab them. I'm gonna grab my fuel filter so I can change that out. I gotta get a larger barb so I can run a 1/2 inch on him, and then I would do my fuel lines. Then this side's about done. We'll get the inner fender in it, probably forget something and take it all back apart, but for right now, if I get the wiring buttoned up, the fuel system buttoned up, and throw my pipe in. Also, look at this. This guy fits nicely now. So we stick him in. This side hits. And now it hits a piece of sharp tin instead of the other thing. We'll fold them in or something. I don't know. They hit. That's unfortunate. So yeah, if I get him out of the way, then this thing comes down. Look at that. Yeah, we'll put some sort of rubbing protection on that so that that doesn't work its way through it and then inevitably flood my... We got a gap. That's better than no gap, but I'll keep working on that and folding it down. Otherwise, that would just, defeat the purpose of the guard altogether, because then it would just make it leak coolant everywhere. So, yeah, oh well, is what it is. Can't win them all. Otherwise, fits nicely. Got my charge pipe in. These guys are going to route somewhere in here and zip tie to that. And they'll just all get kind of tucked in to this bundle. I'll try to twist it and put these where they need to be, but it's just going to be a mess. So far, no major hiccups today. And yeah, we'll just keep chugging along on the driver's side. And the passenger side ought to be pretty easy. I'm going to demo out all my AC stuff. Maybe try to find a cap or tape off my evaporator in the cab so it doesn't get full of contaminants. And then deal with that in the springtime when I need air conditioning. So, yep, moving forward, we'll catch up with you once I get my connector in and finally get rid of this mess. Also, did I mention it's like 10 degrees out today? I don't ever wear gloves, but man, it's kind of nice. I thought I had it figured out for keeping my hands warm with having your sleeve kind of cover up about that much of your hand and just have your fingers sticking out. But when you're hanging onto a cold wrench trying to tighten something you can't reach, it's kind of nice wearing gloves. Never thought I'd say that. So, just thought that was worth mentioning too. It sucks a little bit more this weekend, and I think it's not supposed to go over 20 degrees all weekend. So gonna be a long 3 days getting this sucker running. And hopefully it starts this cold. I don't even know. It's got new glow plugs. Alright, now I'll talk to you when I get it figured out.